Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to this video, guys. My name is Liaquat Zaman, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful time enjoying my videos. If you guys like my videos, if you enjoy listening to me, hit the like button, subscribe button, and share it with others. This series is dedicated, as you guys know, to learning fiqh. Mukhtasar al-Qudoori is the book that we are going through. This lesson, we are almost near the end. Well, in fact, we are literally in the end of the chapter of fasting. Then we're going to have i'tikaf and then Hajj, mashallah. Right, so let's have a go at the questions then. So these are the questions for today. If a person faints in Ramadan, what is the status of that fast, the day on which they fainted? If a person becomes insane on the 20th of Ramadan, what happens to the rest of the days in which he is insane? What does a menstruating woman do if her bleeding stops on the 12th of Ramadan? Can she fast the 12th or not? What happens to the fast if a person opened it thinking that the sun had set, when in reality it didn't? Okay. Can a person consider his fast valid if he thought it was suhoor, ate, and then realized Fajr had started? What happens if a person sees the moon on the 29th of Ramadan, but no one else saw it? Why is there a difference on a cloudy day and a cloudy evening on the 29th of Ramadan and 29th of Sha'ban when it comes to sighting the moon? Okay, so let's crack on then. So now we are going to be looking at the words now. So now we'll look at the words. Right, so these words, so ughmiya has the meaning of to faint. Okay, so it means to faint. Qada, yaqdi, lam yaqdi, qada, as you guys know, means to make up. Right, this word came before as well. Okay, so alladhi hadatha, you guys know that. It means to occur. Ighma, it means to faint. Afaqa is from fayaqa, it means to basically regain consciousness. Right, so you regain consciousness after fainting or anything or similar to that. And majnoon as well. So majnoon is an insane person. Insane. Afaq al-majnoon. The majnoon has regained his sanity. Become sane. Hadat. Okay. Right. Amsaka, yumsiku, imsak. This word came before. Baqiya has also come before. Tasahhara. Right. That was come before as well. Which means eating suhoor. Dhanna, yadhunnu. Ittala'a, yattali'u. Or yatla'u. It means to rise, right, start, initiate. And then you have gharubat, it means to set. Tabayyana, yatabayyanu, it means to become clear. So illa, hilal, crescent. A lot of these words have come before anyway. So shahada is testimony. And bi khabarihim is report. That's actually ilm, not al-ilm. Knowledge or certainty. Alright, so now let's have a look at tarkib here. Okay, so when it comes to tarkib, so you have man ughmiya alayhi, ughmiya is majhool, fi Ramadan is the jar majroor, Ramadan is the ghair munsarif. Okay, and then man here is going to be the shart, which is literally a mubtada. Now, if you guys want to do proper tarkib, then check out my series on Surah Al-Qasas. I've done the whole tarkib of Surah Al-Qasas with translation as well. That's something you guys can check out. Al-Yawma is the maf'ul bihi. And then you have Hadatha, Yahduthu, Ighma, so it's fi'al. Ighma is the fa'il. Majnoon is the fa'il of Afaqa. Afaqa al-Majnoonu. Ba'di, Mudaf, Ramadan, Mudaf ilayhi, Ghair Munsarif. Hadat, Al-Mar'atu is the fa'il, Hadat is the fi'l, Aftarat, fi'l and the fa'il. And then Qadat is also Qada yaqdi and the fi'l fa'il. And then you have إذا قدم يقدم المسافر. Yes, this is fi'l fa'il. And then you have طهرت الحائض fi'l fa'il. في بعض النهار أمسك جول أمسك fi'l plus fa'il. عن الطعام, so عن is حرف الجر, والطعام is مجرور, الشراب is مجرور. بقية يومهما مفعول فيه, من تسحر, تسحر يتسحر, فعل plus the fa'il. And then يظن يظن أن الفجر لم يطلع, يطلع يطلع, فعل فاعل. أو أفطر, أو sorry لم يطلع, لم يطلع, لم يطلع. أو أفطر وهو يرى, فعل فاعل. أن الشمس, أن is حرف مشبه بالفعل, الشمس is the اسم, وأن قد غربت is the فعل فاعل. ثم تبين, فعل فاعل. أن الفجر okay, اسم, وأن كان قد كان قد طلع, فعل فاعل. أو أن الشمس لم تغرب, قضى ذلك اليوم, مفعول به again. ولا كفارة, لا نفي الجنس. من رأى هلال الفطر, مضاف مضاف إليه, رأى is فعل and فاعل. وحده, anyone know وحده is حال. لم يفطر, وإذا كانت بالسماء إلة, إلة is the اسم of كانت. And then لم يقبل الإمام, فعل plus the فاعل. في هلال, مضاف مضاف إليه. إلا شهادة, إلا شهادة, this is the مضاف. المضاف إليه becomes the مفعول به. أو رجل عطف امرأتين, وإن لم يكن بالسماء إلة is the اسم of يكن. And then you have لم يقبل meaning فعل فاعل. إلا شهادة جماعة, مضاف مضاف إليه. يقع العلم, so يقع العلم بخبرهم is the جملة صفة of جماعة. علم here refers to certainty, بخبرهم, with their reports, مضاف مضاف إليه. Alright, let's check out the masail for today then. So today inshallah we're going to be covering 5 mas'alas for today hopefully. Let's see what they are then. Today's lesson is very easy, right? So chill out. So imagine these are the days of Ramadan now, okay? And what basically happens is a person fasts, and let's say there's some days that they can't fast on. So normally what they would have to do is they'd have to do qada, make up those days. So let's say this guy, and this guy has been fasting, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, etc. All of a sudden on day 5 he faints, he goes unconscious, and he becomes unconscious. Now that particular day he was fasting, and in the middle of the day he just fainted, right? He went unconscious, and he's been unconscious on that day, the next day, the next day, next day, and then he regains consciousness, and then he's okay now, carries on fasting. Now what's going to happen on these days? So these days he'll have to make up, he'll have to do qada of these days, all right? But what about this day of fainting? What's going to happen here? So on this day, will he have to do qada because he had fainted or not? So we say he does not do qada, right? Because your fast breaks when something goes into your body, and when you faint, nothing voluntarily has gone into your body. Even if the doctors were to put something into his body, that wasn't something which of his own accord. So man, whoever, ughmiya, has fainted alayhi fi Ramadan, in Ramadan, lam yaqdi, he does not make up, al-yawm, the day, alladhi, which, hadatha, occurred, fihi, in it, al-ighma'u, the fainting, the unconsciousness. Wa qada, and he makes up ma ba'dahu. Yeah, so qada makes up ma ba'dahu, that which comes after. So the days that come after, if he didn't fast those days, he'll have to do qada of those. So that's this day, that day. Okay, now let's say for example there is a majnoon, so someone who is insane, right? Clinically insane, mentally insane. What's going to happen to this individual? So let's say for example the same thing applies to him. He's majnoon. So he doesn't fast. Now all of a sudden, what happens is he, regains his sanity, right? Middle of Ramadan. Okay, so let's say on, the 9th of Ramadan, he regains his sanity. What's going to happen? So all these days that have passed, he has to do qada of them. Right? He'll have to do qada of the days that passed. So in afaq al-majnoon, when a majnoon gains consciousness in some of the parts of Ramadan, qada, he has to make up ma, whatever, madha, past, minhu, of it, of Ramadan. And that's it. Yeah. Now, if he had missed the entire Ramadan without being in the state of sanity, then the scholars say he wouldn't have to do qada because he was not in the right mindset to be able to fast the fasts. So as long as at least one day he was sane, he's got to make up all the rest of it. Okay, so all that. Right, next. Third one now. So what if a woman is menstruating? What happens to a menstruating woman? All right, so in other words, menstruating woman, she obviously is not allowed to fast in Ramadan. But let's say, for example, like she is not menstruating and then she starts to menstruate. What's going to happen? Or she is menstruating and then her menstruation stops. How is that going to impact her fasting in Ramadan? So let me draw this for you guys because you guys enjoy me drawing stuff. So this is a woman and she's fasting. She's totally healthy, fit, no menstruation at all. And she fasts. And all of a sudden, right, ha's there, and that's it. Ha for haid. And she bleeds for, 6 days, let's say. And then she's fine and then she fasts. What's going to happen to those 6 days? So these 6 days, she is not allowed to fast, right? And what she does is she eats properly. She doesn't even imitate the fasting people. She doesn't do imsak. She carries on eating. So إذا حاضت المرأة, when a woman is menstruating, أفطرت, she does not eat, so she does not fast. أفطرت means she eats, she does not fast. وقضت, and she has to make up, do qada of the days that she hasn't fasted for. Okay, straightforward. Next one. What if it's a traveler? So the same rule applies to a traveler as well. So if there's a traveler and he's been traveling for, let's say, 3 days, and then all of a sudden, he's a resident, and then after 3 days he becomes a traveler. So the number of days that he's a traveler for, he does not have to fast. Soon as he gets back to his city, he's got to make them up. Yeah, so these are 6 days for the menstruating woman. So, okay, so now let's look at this traveling masala. All right, so this is the day where all of a sudden, in the middle of the day, going back to the haid masala, menstruation masala, she all of a sudden at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, her blood stops. Right, she takes a bath. What is she going to do for the rest of the day until Maghrib? Does she fast? No, but she does imsak because her fast will not be valid. The entire day has to be free without any moment of menstruation for the fast to be valid. So because there's all these hours of her bleeding, then no. So therefore 1 p.m. From 1 p.m. all the way until Maghrib, she has to do imsak, like we mentioned in the previous videos. Now, إذا قدم المسافر, when a traveler has been traveling and has the dispensation of not fasting, then all of a sudden he arrives in his locality. So he's no longer a traveler now. أو طهرت الحائض, or a menstruating woman becomes clean. A menstruating woman becomes clean, meaning a menstruating woman stops bleeding. في بعض النهار, in part of the day. Yes, I said to you like 1 p.m. Amsaka, both these individuals, the traveler who has now become a resident and the menstruating woman who has now become a non-menstruating woman, both of them have to abstain from eating and drinking baqiyata yawmihima, for the rest of their day. So baqiya mudaf, yawmihima mudaf ilayhi. Okay. Alright, I think that masla is quite straightforward. Right, so next masla now. Alright, so this masla is to do with a person making a mistake when they start their fast and a person making a mistake when they end their fast. Okay, so Fajr, right, just before Fajr, for example, Suhoor, yeah, Sehri time, yeah, Suhoor. So before Fajr, remember, it's a time of pre-dawn meal and it's encouraged for all fasting people to eat something before Fajr, right? So this is Suhoor, and that's Fajr. So you have to stop at Fajr. You got to put your break on. Yeah, stop eating. Yeah, start your fast at Fajr. Now, let's say, for example, a person actually thought that Fajr hadn't started and they ate 20 minutes or half an hour into Fajr time. And they realized, oh, I've been eating all that time. What am I supposed to do? So that fast will not be valid, right? Because a person ate and they won't be considered to be sinful for it because they didn't know, and there's no kafara. So man tasahara, whoever does suhoor, sehri, suhoor, وهو يظن, whilst thinking, assuming, أن الفجر, that Fajr لم يطلع, that Fajr has not started. Oh, the other way around, أفطر وهو يرى, so he breaks his fast whilst he believes أن الشمس, that the sun قد غربت, has gone down. So other side of the day, sun setting. Now normally when the sun sets, right, the sun, well, not normally, we have to break our fast immediately after the sun sets, meaning that the entire disk of the sun disappears under the horizon. So I've talked about this in the chapter of Salat when I talked about the timings. If you want to check that out, I've actually given some images as well. So this is now night time, and this is when we can eat now, right? Iftar, we call this iftari. Alright, so let's say a person started their iftar 5 or 10 minutes before Maghrib time. What will happen to their fast? They ate. So then their fast is broken. But will they be sinful? No, because it was an accident and no kafara. So, aftara, or he breaks his fast, وهو يرى, whilst he assumes أن الشمس قد غربت, has set, ثم تبين, and then it becomes clear أن الفجر, that Fajr كان قد طلع, that Fajr had started. Yeah. أو أن الشمس, or the sun لم تغرب, or the sun has not. So ثم تبين, so in the first scenario, he realized that Fajr had already started and he's still eating. Or the second one was that the sun has not set, so he's broke his fast and the sun hasn't set, unfortunately, poor guy. قضى ذلك اليوم, he makes up that day, ولا كفارة عليه, and there is no kafara upon this gentleman. Okay, right, that's the next one. Right, next. Okay, this is to do with sighting of the moon now. Right, so you got sighting of the moon, masala. Right, you got this guy, and this guy obviously is going to be sighting the moon. Now, remember we talked about sighting of the moon on the 29th of Sha'ban, right? That was for the start of Ramadan. So people sight the moon over there, and people sight the moon over here as well, right? Because they want to know when is Eid going to be. Is Eid going to be tomorrow? So if you're on the 29th of Ramadan, you are going to be looking outside your window or in the garden. You're going to be looking at the sky to see if tomorrow is going to be Eid or not. So, is it tomorrow going to be the 30th of Ramadan, one more fast, or is tomorrow going to be the 1st of Shawwal, i.e., is it going to be Eid, right? So, the rule basically is this. Remember we said over there in the previous one, if a person in Sha'ban sights the moon on their own, right, then they have to start fasting the next day. But in this one, if a person sights the moon on their own, they don't start doing Eid on their own, no. Right, they still have to carry on fasting. Right, so that's the difference. On the 29th of Sha'ban, if you sight the moon, then you start fasting on the next day. And on the 29th of Ramadan, if you sight the moon on your own, you carry on fasting. You don't do Eid. Okay, so like I showed over here, this guy here, and he kind of sees the moon, right? No one else has seen it, right? And the judge hasn't accepted it. So man ra'a hilal, whoever sees the crescent of the fitr. Crescent of fitr basically means the crescent of Eid al-Fitr. Yeah, the 1st of Shawwal. Wahdahu on their own. Yeah, lam yuftir. Their fast will not be considered to be broken. So right there, Eid is on the 1st. Right, so they will not have considered themselves to be having Eid on that day. Lam yuftir. They can't stop their fast. Right. So this guy, right, he's seen on his own, so therefore he'll have to carry on fasting on the 30th. Now, what if the sky is clear or the sky is cloudy? Does it have an impact on the sighting? Right, so if you remember in the Sha'ban one, we said, if the sky is clear, if the sky is cloudy, one person sees the moon, then that one person is sufficient to establish Ramadan the next day. But in this one, if one person sees a sighting, even if it's a cloudy day, it won't be enough. There has to be at least two men, or one man and two women. And if it's a clear sky, then lots of people have to see it. So imagine this is the judge. Now the judge is going to be waiting for people's calls, right, to see if anyone sighted the moon. So if it is a clear day, yeah, or if it's a cloudy day, obscure day, how do we acknowledge or understand this? So basically what happens is, if it's an obscure day, then there has to be at least two men or one man, two women who have to have sighted for the judge to pass the judgment that it's Ramadan the next day, Eid the next day. And if it's a clear sky, lots of people have to see it. Because if it's clear, then, you got to be kind of sure that people are not trying to cheat. Because, it's a lot of people, they don't want They don't want to fast anymore. They just want Eid to come tomorrow. So you're going to see people maybe bending the reality, bending the truth. So if it's obscure sky, then 2 men or 1 man and 2 women. And that's it basically. That's the masala. Very easy, like I said. So he says, وَمَنْ رَأَى, whoever sees the hilal, the crescent of the fitr on their own, لَمْ يُفْتِرْ, they do not stop fasting. وَإِذَا كَانَتْ بِالسَّمَاء, and when in the sky there is a illa, there is obscurity, لَمْ يَقْبَلْ الْإِمَامِ, the imam, meaning the judge or the government, will not accept فِي هِلَال الْفِطْر, with regards to the crescent of Eid al-Fitr, إِلَّا, except شَهَادَ رَجُلَيْنِ, the witnessing of 2 men, or رَجُلٍ وَمْرَأَتَيْنِ, or 1 man, 2 women. Yeah. وَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ بِالسَّمَاء, and if there is not in the sky an obscurity, لَمْ يَقْبَلْ, the imam will not accept, the judge will not accept, إِلَّا شَهَادَةَ رَجُلٍ جَمَاعَةٍ, the testimony of a large group of people, such a large group, يَقَعُ الْعِلْمُ, that certainty occurs بِخَبْرِهِمْ, with their report. So how many people have to tell you something before you believe 100% this is true? Yeah, that's what it basically means. So enough people have to tell the judge, and the judge now realizes, you know what, this has to be true. And that's it. So that's today's lesson, guys. Right, let's just round it up today, see what we have covered. I hope you guys enjoyed this chapter as well. I enjoyed it. It's nice. So one masla is the masla of the guy who faints. Number 2 is the masla majnoon. Number 3 is the one who is haid. Number 4 is the one who eats, at the wrong time. And then you have number 5 is the masla of the calendar, the sighting of the moon at the end of Ramadan. And there you have it, guys. Now let's check out the questions again. If a person faints in Ramadan, what is the status of that fast? You know the answer? Answer is that fast on that day is going to be fine, but if he carries on continues in intoxicated, unconscious state, then the other fasts won't be okay. If a person becomes insane on the 20th of Ramadan, what happens to the rest of the days in which he is insane? So he's got to make them up. Yeah, you have to make them up. So whatever days those are. And if he's been insane from the beginning of the month, he's got to make those days up. What does a menstruating woman do if her bleeding stops on the 12th of Ramadan? What does she do when it stops on the 12th? So if it stops on the 12th, she has to not eat, not drink on that day, do imsak, but cannot count that day as a fast. Remember we talked about the kafir and the child who reached puberty as well. Okay, what happens to the fast if a person opened it thinking the sun has set, not sent, when in reality it didn't? Then their fast is invalid because they've broken it at the wrong time. However, there's no kafara. Qadha, but no kafara. Can a person consider his fast valid if he thought it was suhoor, ate, and then realized Fajr had started? No, he can't, because he's literally eaten into the fasting time without forgetfulness. What happens if a person sees the moon on the 29th of Ramadan but no one else? Yeah, then that person, can they consider it to be Eid tomorrow? No, they can't. Why is there a difference on a cloudy evening on the 29th of Ramadan and 29th of Sha'ban when it comes to sighting the moon? So the reason it was because people don't generally want Ramadan to start. So therefore, testimony of one person would be sufficient on a cloudy day for it to be considered Ramadan the next day. But Ramadan ending, lots of people want Ramadan to end. So the chances that someone might give like a white lie or something is going to be greater. So therefore, if it's a cloudy sky, 2 men, and if otherwise 1 man, 2 women, and if it's a clear sky, then lots of people. That's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you guys think of me answering the questions as well. And if there's any specific suggestions that you guys have, you know what to do. Put it in the comments below. Thank you to all my patrons. Patrons basically are those people who support my channel, financially support my channel, help me to do what I do, and really kind of help me to fulfill my passion, which is to make as many videos as I can teaching you guys about Islam and Arabic and all these free of charge. And that's it, guys. If you guys want to become patrons, check out the description below. Really appreciate it, guys, and take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.